Welcome, everybody. I'm Rebecca Keegan from the Los Angeles Times, and I am delighted to be here for this special Oblivion event, which is being brought to you by Universal Pictures, IMAX, and LA Times Hero Complex. This movie and this Q&A is being broadcast out to IMAX theaters across the U.S. 9 other theaters saw it, like you guys here in New York. And the Q&A is going out over the internet as well. We're going to take a few questions and then go to Twitter to take questions that people are sending in. If you want to participate, send your question to #Oblivion. And won't you please help me give a nice warm welcome to the director of Oblivion, Joseph Kosinski. And without any further ado, the star of Oblivion, Tom Cruise.
Up the back. Sorry, I got to get the stage, man. The rest of me. Sorry, man. Gotta do a stunt over this rail. Hi, how are you?
Hi, you do so many stunts for your own movies. We thought we'd have you do one here.
Thank you. It's good. How are y'all? Good evening.
Love you.
Hello. How you doing? Nice to see you. Hello.
Well, welcome, both of you.
Thank
you for being here.
Thank you.
This movie is something kind of unusual in Hollywood today. It's not a sequel or a prequel or a remake. It's a totally original idea. Tom, tell us, what made you want to make it?
Him, Joe Kosinski. I think he's he's a guy who's a world creator, a true visionary. And what I mean by that is you just look at the example. I mean, when I went and I saw in post some stuff on Tron, and he shared with me the story that this next film. And I think when the audience sees the story, it just has amazing twists all the way up until the final frame. And then he took me through the world that he was going to create. Just as an example, when you saw the Sky Tower, I know audiences are so used to green screen today. But when you see the opening, you see the Sky Tower, one of the things Joe wanted to do, and he did in this film, is he said, look, what I want is I want real clouds and real sunrises and sunset to immerse the audience into the Sky Tower. It's a mile above the Earth's surface, and really immerse them in this world. And so he took cameras into Hawaii and put them atop a volcano and photographed cloud formations, sunrises and sunsets, the stars. And then on the set that we built in Baton Rouge, he designed the set, and we built it on a massive sound stage. And the screens were, as tall as this IMAX screen, and he actually projected the images onto those screens. So it wasn't CGI, it wasn't green screen. So the kind of reflections and the kind of world that he can create with that, and the emotion, it has a, he wanted a haunting beauty, a very unique aesthetic for the film. And I think that world that he created, this characters that he created, is something that I wanted to be part of.
Joe, when Tom attached himself to this film, you didn't yet have a studio, you didn't yet have a script. It was very bold.
You had nothing?
Don't tell Tom that.
Really?
Yeah.
You were pumped.
That's not what he told me. He's like, look, they're lining up.
It's all greenlit already, Tom. Just sign right here. Yeah.
So once you knew that this was going to be your leading man, how did that shape how the script developed in the story?
Well, I was in a kind of unique position to be writing the first draft of the script, knowing that Tom had a really strong interest in the story. So
I was in, man.
He was in. He said he was in. I wasn't completely sure.
I told you when I say I'm in.
Yeah, that's right. I knew, I just knew, having Tom in the lead role, I knew I could kind of shape the character to fit him. But to be honest with you, I felt like Tom already kind of suited the character of Jack Harper so well, the way I envisioned him. So it wasn't much of a retooling. If anything, I just knew everything I wanted Jack Harper to do in this movie, Tom was going to be able to do it, and do it in camera and do it spectacularly. And, I was just really thrilled to have such an incredible actor at the center of this film, because of all the different types of scenes the film has. It's a big action film, big action adventure film, but it's got mystery, it's got thrills, it's got romance, it's got a little bit of everything. And to have an actor of his caliber at the center of this film for me was huge.
Without spoiling anything for the folks watching online who haven't seen it, there's a fight scene in this movie that is really extraordinary and unusual. I don't know, Tom, if you can tell us anything about it.
Thank you. I mean, I can tell you I've never done a fight like it, and I never will in the rest of my career. I don't know if you can't, that's, you know.
Your opponent was brutal.
You don't ever, yeah, he was tough. You don't ever get to do that again. I mean, when he was telling me this story and we're going through it, I think the incredible thing about this movie is that for an audience, even the second time watching it is going to be so rewarding for them. Like you need a 2 pass on this film, and I think that's there's so many wonderful moments like that in the film. I couldn't wait to do it. It was very challenging to figure out how we're going to do that, and without
Killing you.
without killing me.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Started getting some of the questions in on Twitter. I have a few of them here, so let me turn to them. This is a question from someone named @bmike3030, who asks, did you make this movie as a standalone or with sequel possibilities?
Joe?
Well, I think we've created a world here. There's a story that occurred before the film starts, and I think there is a very interesting story after the film ends. So certainly there's potential and possibility there. So maybe.
So you're open to it?
Open to the idea,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've been saying to him, look, the aesthetic that Joe has is so unique. I think when you see the film, you guys did see the film, you'll see, what he created it'd be fun to play if we, come up with a different story.
This comes from Twitter. The name of the guy is @DannyNoodles. Gotta love that.
I know
Is
him.
that me? Is that
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, what inspired the unique look of the post-apocalyptic world in Oblivion?
That's Joe Kosinski. You look at it, he had that vision, when I was looking at his early designs, and he wanted the location of Iceland right from the beginning. New York City, the mountains in New York. The trick was actually finding Crater Lake was very challenging, finding that location, something that is so picturesque and inviting. But the design of, you look at the wardrobe, the drones, the house, the bubble ship, all of that design was stuff that Joe came with early on. And it was pretty exciting, because we built the bubble ship, and some of the greatest car designers in the world actually came together to build this. So when the day that it showed up on set, we'd been waiting a long time, and Joe and I think we were like little kids getting in that bubble ship, feeling, this thing was like a fine piece of jewelry put together. I mean, I want to get those engines, and I want that bubble ship.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
I know. I want the bubble. They gave me the motorcycle as a gift, which I'm very grateful. But that bubble ship is really something.
I want the house.
Yeah, the
How do I
house
get in
is
on
cool.
that?
What about the pool? Who wants that pool? I'm waiting for where does that pool show up?
This is a question that comes from someone in Virginia Beach. Jared Flom 3 via Twitter asks, compared to other
No, I
movies
get
you
it. You got
starred
your
in, hey,
screen
there
right
they
there.
are,
That's
pretty
good,
sneaky,
good.
huh?
Okay, good.
How much did
We'll
you
read
enjoy
along with you.
acting and being in Oblivion?
I loved it. I love the world, the adventure of the film, the story, because it's a very, it's a great sci-fi is a new world, and yet it's a very personal journey. And yet you also have this kind of Rod Sterling twists, that I enjoy. And so the film has so many different levels to it if you want to enjoy it just as a pure adventure action movie, but when you start looking at it, there's so many different layers to it. And the character is, playing Jack Harper, he's really just a blue-collar worker, a drone repairman, yet he gets to fly a cool bubble ship down to Earth every day. And having the kind of discussions on a film of this nature that I had with Joe, it was just a very cool character, a cool world to be in. Plus I have the laser guns, and everyone likes a little laser gun every now and then.
This comes from someone in San Diego. Bakalakadaka via Twitter asks, Tom, how did you prepare for this role?
What I did was I just spent a lot of time with Joe going over what it is he intended, looking at the world, discussing the story and the character. Obviously, for every film, you have to train, and if you're changing your physical silhouette for something. So there's just the usual kind of training just to make it through a film of this nature. And then to train for the stunt fight. It was interesting with the stunt fight that we had. I don't want to give anything away, but we shot it in a very hot environment. And that was surprisingly challenging because the suit itself was so, it was like a sauna, and it's a sauna, it just retains heat. So, and when we do one take of the fight, we are worried about high levels of dehydration and go into, kind of shock. So when we were doing the fight, after every single take, they would come and unzip us, and I had massive amounts of ice packs that would come in to try to bring our body temperatures down in between the takes.
One thing I wondered about preparation of the characters is you put a lot of effort into showing what this guy liked about Earth, the Yankee cap, the Zeppelin albums. Where did those little details come from?
It was just try to think about, what things you'd collect, in this world. This is a guy who's in love with a time that exists before he was born. So he's on the surface and finding these trinkets, and there's certain things he finds that have a special connection, but he doesn't know why he's attached to them. So that's some part of the fun of this story is you see what Jack has collected, but you don't quite understand, and he doesn't understand why he's chosen these specific elements until later in the film. So it's, it's a mystery that...
I don't think so.
Good.
It's a mystery that, as Jack's trying to figure it out, the audience is kind of going along with him.
I feel like it's no accident that he's a Yankee fan, Tom.
I know.
Did you have a hand in that?
Well, he said Yankee, or did I say?
Well,
Yankee?
I could have brought up Mets, but I didn't want to. It had to be one or the other.
Yeah.
I didn't want reactions like that.
Yeah.
Forget New York. Here's a question from Denver. This is Kung Fu Danda 1 via Twitter, who says,
Dig it.
Tom,
Dig Kung Fu Danda.
was the whole movie filmed live on locations, or was a green screen used for filming any scenes?
A very small amount of green screen was used on this film. Most of it was live in Iceland, and if you have a chance to go there, I greatly hope you jump on that opportunity. A stunning place to make a film and a great place to go. And that kind of terrain, it was mostly practical. The action was all practical. Of course, some of the moments, were green screen at the end, but surprisingly not a lot. As I said, when you look at the Sky Tower, that's all, he edited that footage down and projected on those screens. And it was the most beautiful set I've ever been on. The most peaceful set to be on. Sometimes, if we did have a break, we'd throw up a sunset or something, and everyone would kind of hang out and watch the sunset. Chill out and watch the sunset.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
And when you were in Iceland, were you there during the summer? So it was.
It was 24 hours. We were there. It was light 24 hours, so we got long shooting days, and then
we never stopped.
We
shooting.
never stopped shooting, and then I'd go on adventures when we finished shooting for the day.
Magic hour all the time there, I guess.
It was beautiful.
This one comes from Dallas. Candace Havens via Twitter asks, it seems like this was a very collaborative effort with the actors and director. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I don't know how you wouldn't collaborate with your actors. They are telling your story for you. So it's so important that the director and the actors are all on the same page. And so we tried to, with a lot of rehearsal, figure out everything ahead of time, of course, always leaving room for those moments when you're shooting where something special happens, But yeah, why would I not collaborate with an actor who's made as many incredible films as Tom has? This is my second film. I think we were counting.
Amazing, it's his second film.
Backstage, you've been in, over 40 now. So yeah, I learned a lot from Tom. Tom's worked with so many of my cinematic heroes, from Stanley Kubrick to Ridley Scott, Michael Mann, Sidney Pollack, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese. It's kind of insane, the list of directors he's worked with. So for me, I was always kind of asking him, stories from the different movies, just bugging him, tell me a story about working with Newman or something like that. So it was just amazing for me to kind of learn, through him on this movie.
And Morgan Freeman, I imagine, was a real presence on the set. What was it like to work with him?
It was awesome. Everyone was very excited when the day he came in. I'd followed Morgan since Street Smart, his first film, and then he and I met each other at the Oscars. Actually, we were both nominated one year, and I just went up to him. I so admire him as an actor, and I've always wanted to work with him. And he and I were talking about it, and then, right from the beginning, Joe and I were like, there's only one person that can play this character, and that's Morgan. I mean, with that kind of reveal and what you're talking about, to have that kind of power as an actor, that voice, he's just so talented. So when he said that he'd do it, we were very excited.
I realized I just stole that follow-up from NHL Rocks 48 via Twitter, who asked, what was it like directing Tom Cruise and Morgan Freeman? So thank you, NHL Rocks 48.
So what was it like directing this,
Well, it was amazing. I tried to just kind of stay out of the way, you know. It's like when you've got those two actors on screen together, you know, just try not to screw anything up and let them do their thing. And those are some of my favorite scenes in the film, watching Tom and Morgan together.
Yeah, there's a, you know, as you see, there's such a dynamic, and you really have to, as actors, have to talk through with Joe what story points, because so much of it is in behavior. And when you look at it, you know, if the audience has a chance to see the film again, when you look at Olga Kurylenko, the mystery woman that comes in, the kind of, you know, and the way that Joe cut the film, it's cut, you know, so that when you see it a second time, you start to really recognize more and more layers of the performances, because there's Olga, who has an incredible presence and has a real power and dignity, and you know, and you see the subtlety of performance. It's really a delicate balance. And also Morgan, you know, when you look at how our characters deal with each other at the beginning, and also Andrea Riceborough, like the different turns that these characters make, you know, upon viewing it many times, people are gonna, I think, even appreciate more what he's done in terms of crafting a story with that kind of character layer inside.
It's also nice to know that in the future, everyone's so beautiful. If the world ends, at least
well, when you
everybody-
have Joe Kosinski shooting you,
Yeah.
you know, and you have, you know.
This question comes from Melody SGH via Twitter, who says, huge Tom Cruise fan. Tom, what made you decide to act in Oblivion?
It was just a great character, and I'm always looking for something that's different, that I think will be entertaining for an audience. You know, I want to make really high quality films for an audience, and entertaining, and give them things that maybe they wouldn't have seen before, and also find a challenge for me. And when I look at Joe Kosinski, it's hard to believe it's only his second film. When you see the excitement this film has, I mean, when you look at the action from the bubble ship, even the suspense in the library sequences, and the suspense that the overall tone of the film has, and yet this kind of very interesting story and personal story weaving in. It's just, I said I've never seen anything like it before. And I learn a lot, you know, when you see a filmmaker, you know, like Joe come on and his ideas, and it was so ambitious. When you talk about M83 for the score, you know, they've never done a feature film score before, and that level that he's just constantly setting the bar. When you look at the world that he's creating, when you look at the story that he wants to tell and how he wants to tell it, what I loved is even in talking with Joe, he doesn't know enough to know how ambitious the film is. You know what I mean? It was like, I want M83. I was like, I love M83. All right, let's do it, you know? And then, you know, here he is working with them, composing this beautiful score. And you go, you know, you're going to get something interesting, and something that will be, you know, it's high quality and entertaining for an audience, and yet very interesting artistically.
Well, that leads nicely to our next question from Jam Van via Twitter, who asks, what music makes you think Oblivion?
What do you mean?
Well, I guess now it's the
Hang on.
score. But Joe, can you talk a little bit about...
I listened to, I mean, the truth is I was listening to M83 when I wrote this original story 8 years ago, one of his early albums. So he's so connected to this story. It was a thrill to be able to get him to do the score for the movie. I was also listening to bands like Boards of Canada, Ulrich Schnauz, the scores of like Bernard Herrmann. The score to Vertigo for me was a really inspiring one. So those are the kind of things I was listening to while I was kind of formulating the story. Well, Led Zeppelin as well.
Throw in a little Led Zeppelin in there.
This question comes from Bexadors Tom, who says, hi Tom, my name is Becky. I'm a massive fan.
Becky.
My question is, what was the best thing about doing this movie?
Gosh, the best thing. You know, for me, being on a movie set, I just love it. It's something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid, 4 years old. I remember the moment I was like, God, if I could make movies. And when you're making a film like this, where you just know it's inventive, and working with Joe every day, someone, as I said, it's hard to believe it's his second film, how specific he is, how calm he is to work with, the actors that we had. I mean, you know, every day, Andrea Riceborough, you know, what she brings to that character, I don't know if you've seen any of her other work, but just such a talented actress. And then Olga Kurylenko, to see what she created with that character, which had such a, I think, a quiet strength. And then you got Morgan Freeman coming in and just delivering, you know, just powerhouses. It's something that every day there was something new and exciting that we were working on, and the sets were beautiful. Every day you went from one beautiful, interesting set to the next, so it was never, you know, it was never boring, was it, Joe?
No. We stayed on the move. Yeah.
Stayed on the move.
This question comes from Hannah H. Lilly, who asks, what makes Oblivion such a unique sci-fi film?
Well, I think you know, it's an earthbound sci-fi. I think when you look at visually how it's classic in its nature and original. The stories, you know, great sci-fi takes an audience to a different place, but a place that they also, as you know, where as human beings recognize people within it, and that's what I think. I mean, I haven't. When you look at Minority Report and this are kind of the two. You know, they're different, but they're, you know, Minority Report being a thriller and this one being a thriller versus, you know, I guess War of the Worlds. But this is in that same kind of vein, where there's also, you know, when you see a sci-fi movie, I love looking at the technology. And in Minority Report, that's where the iPad came from. Mm-hmm. Really was inspired, Steve Jobs was inspired by that. So I hope that someone will be inspired by the swimming pool, if you're watching. And also by, please, the bubble ship. You know, feel free to build that. I appreciate it. I know when he did Tron, people were, you know, building the light cycles
Yep.
and stuff. So please feel free. I'll test fly it for you, you know.
Sci-fi does seem like a genre where you're really comfortable. I was just reading on my way here that you're attached to Doug Liman's new film, which also has a bit of a sci-fi.
Yeah, we shot it. We shot it already. The All You Need Is Kill is a title right now, but it's a totally different kind of sci-fi than this. But you know, sci-fi today is like the Western was, I think, because the Westerns came out and it could transport an audience to a different time, but tell, you know, socio-political stories, human stories, but you can also send an audience to a place that they wouldn't necessarily see. Today with sci-fi, you know, and sci-fi has always been a very popular genre, but now with cinema, you can create a world. And so using visual effects, but also, as with this film, it's mostly practical in camera.
This question comes from Jolene Whippoff, who says, Tom, what is your secret? You look exactly the same as you did when you made Top Gun. I think a lot of us would like to know, and where can we get it?
Jolene, thank you very much. I have no idea. I have just, I really don't know. Maybe it's because I get to, you know, for me, making movies is not work. It's a joy. I love telling stories and being part of it, and it's something that I've never taken for granted. And you know, I don't know. I think that's it. It can't be the sleepless nights and the, you know, 48 hours working in a row. Maybe that is it. I don't know, but I just have a real joy in what I'm doing.
Darn, they don't sell that at Bloomingdale's.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know what else.
This comes from mgeorge51h, who asks, what was the toughest Oblivion stunt?
The most painful one was when, is this giving it away? Like where I flip over onto the table. Where there's a shot where I flip over on the table, and I think when you see the film, my neck bends in a very unusual way.
For the Blu-ray, yeah. When people get the Blu-ray, they can actually freeze frame, and they'll see his neck bending at a angle that seems like it should have broken.
Yeah.
It scared us all a little bit when we were watching on the monitor, but he jumped up and gave us a thumbs up. So
we kept going, but I remember seeing your face, like, are you okay? Are you dead? Are you, please? That was fun. Riding the motorcycle was Olga. You know, Olga came in. She says, "I know how to ride motorcycles." So I was like, "Oh, great! She knows how to ride motorcycles. Cool. She's going to feel really confident on it." So then we go into Iceland, and I'm going across these plains of Iceland and you know, I'm going very fast because we have a camera helicopter following. And, you know, you're doing little jumps and stuff like that. And the thing, all you have to do on the back of a motorcycle, particularly that kind, is you just have to hold on. So I said, please, Olga, all you have to do is just really hold on. And if you feel the bike is a little, just don't worry, I'll get us out of it, and we'll be hitting. So we're riding along, and she goes, go slow. I was like, okay, well, yeah.
And I'm saying go faster.
He's saying go faster, so I'm like, I'll go as slow as I can. I'm going about 70 miles an hour across, And I'm thinking she's going to be holding on even tighter. I hit the bump, and her hands come off of my waist and grab the wheel, And we're almost in midair, and the thing's like this, and the bike is out, and I'm trying to hit the throttle and straighten the bike out. And it scared me to death. I thought, I was like, as we're going, still, I can't just stop the bike. So I'm going to say, Olga, please just hold on to, all you got to do is hold on to me. She goes, no, okay. As she's holding the wheel. I said, no, like, hold on to me now, like right now. She said, okay. So she holds on to me. And then I hit another bump, and her hands are coming out. So I'm flying along on this motorcycle. I have this helicopter with a camera, and Joe's there, and I'm constantly hitting her hands to try to get them around. So I'm hoping that in the shots that it doesn't look like I'm doing this the whole time, And she's saying, I can't help it. I don't mean to do it. I'm trying to stop myself. I'm trying to stop myself. That was terrifying. Okay, you don't know how terrifying that was. I was scared shitless. Can I say it? This isn't television, is it?
No.
Internet.
You can swear on the internet.
I can swear on the internet. I was scared shitless. Okay?
This question comes from Rachel, who asks, how did you decide on Earth's landscape?
Well, I wanted to make a film that was, I wanted the landscape to be desolate but beautiful. And I came upon a landscape photography book of Iceland. And when I saw some of these images of the Icelandic landscape, it looked like nothing else I had seen before. The black sand, the blue skies, the kind of moss clinging on the hills, no trees, which is very unique. And I thought it would be the perfect setting to kind of put in these monuments of our world, kind of sticking up through the sand. So it was always the dream to go and shoot in Iceland, and feel very lucky to have had the opportunity.
This is pretty much it via Twitter, who asks, Tom, what's your favorite sci-fi film excluding your own?
Oh man, come on. Oblivion.
Excluding your own.
My own Minority Report.
Okay.
War of the Worlds, Vanilla Skies.
Okay.
To just say one, I think would not be fair because there's so many. When you look at, I think Star Wars. You look at 2001. You look at, Ridley's films that he's done. Alien is a picture that you could just watch over and over again. You look at what he created, the movie he did with Harrison Ford.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. I think there's I think there's a ton of them. I'm someone, I watch a lot of movies all the time. I mean, when we're working on the script, one of the cool things, I've got a screening room with like thousands and thousands and thousands of films. So, sometimes I'll watch a scene out of a movie the way someone will just pull up a track of music and listen to it. So we'll go through it and we'll just watch different scenes.
It's a great diversion in a meeting, too, where you just stop and watch Mad Max for 2 hours.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you go back.
What is your home screening room like? It must be pretty cool.
It's awesome. I want to live in the screening room. I pretty much do. That was a dream for me, having that one.
We talked about this a little bit, but Rohan MM asks, question for Tom, what attracts him to sci-fi over perhaps other genres he's not yet touched?
As a film lover, I'm really just kind of a cinephile, and I love all kinds of movies. And I remember, when I start into any different genre, whether it's comedy, drama, suspense, I kind of dive in and try to understand what works, what communicates best. So I think that's why I've done such a wide range of, I tried my hand at a musical, tried different kinds of adventures, spy thriller genres I love, and sci-fi is just, there's so many different stories. You can take that kind of genre and create, thriller or action, all the different kinds of things within it, and drama, and comedy. So, they're all different kinds that I love.
Ben Ubius via Twitter asks, Tom, aside from being a real-life hero, are there any hopes you'll play a superhero role for Marvel or DC in the future?
Well, I haven't ever read one for myself that I thought this is what I want to do. But that's not saying no. If they, there's no planning in the future, but I dig those movies.
What would the character have to be like to interest you?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. You know, it'd have to have some fun human elements to it, and have cool superpowers. And you want to fly, of course.
Obviously.
You know, you want to be able to fly. I'm a pilot, so I want to fly, right, Joe?
Of course.
What else do you think? Like maybe force field. Force fields are cool. You know,
Doesn't need sleep.
doesn't need sleep.
Right.
People are tossing out ideas.
Good. We're getting ideas here
We'll
tonight.
pass
Good.
those along to Tom's agent. Thank you very much. Listen, thank you both so much
Thank
for
you so
being
much for
here.
having us.
Thank you
Thank you all for being here and watching. Thank you so
And
much.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely meeting you. Thanks again.
Okay, gang.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll try.